Yeah, I mean, it's just like it has to be these breaks, I think. Otherwise, it's too slick, or it's too. I mean that you.
But the thing with the driver is it is kind of slick. I mean.
Yeah.
So there are parts that are.
I mean the repetition is not so slick. I think when it comes to the point where you. But
it kind of works every time. I mean, every time Jimmy looks over and the guy pauses and then he looks back, it's like the timing is just right.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, but it is. I mean, in all of my work, I'm from the beginning on. I was really interested to use the seduction of the media, like to sue in the viewer into the in between the images, and that you forget yourself what you're watching, and there's these points where you just get like thrown out of the curve, like whoops, yeah, something is wrong here, something is not right, and then suddenly you're back in, and this is a play, and even sometimes you think it's a funny thing, but suddenly it turns out it's really tragic, it's really tragic comical. In a way, it's just often that in many screenings, at the beginning, people laughing a lot, and it gets really more and more quiet. And yeah, this is important to me. That still there are moments where you are really get thrown back into your seat as and feel the pleasure of the unpleasure, or something, of watching something and being a little bit disturbed.
So if I'm understanding, you have an audio version before there's any imagery at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then is the imagery that you're using at all connected with the original source that you're pulling from?
Sometimes, yeah. It depends always on the piece, and I was in the very beginning. It was not at all. Like when I did the very first work in '91, and then with a piece that we didn't see tonight. It's almost 40 minutes on 16mm film. That was in '98. At '95, it was all based on The Wizard of Oz, and I have in this one I have. Some kind of even like shots, reenactments of the shots when the moment when Dorothy walks towards the camera and says like far away, and I did that in front of huge satellite dishes, but it's exactly the same like framing, and the character, the costume is different, and but it's a Dorothy. She's and she has a cell phone that looks like a yellow brick, and so the yellow brick goes on, and even the Smurf with the tie to the yellow bricks goes back to the yellow brick road of the Wizard of Oz, and yeah, there are quotes, but then of course, I mean, Bambi is completely different. I guess. Let me see. Yeah, Jimmy. It's like all the James Dean. There is, but the use of meaning, or the recontextualization of meaning was always very interesting for me. When I have the scene in East of Eden when James Dean comes in and his father is dying, and he says, "Father, I did an awful thing," and I have it now out in the Mojave Desert, and he looks to the rising sun, and he says, "Father." Meaning father is a complete different meaning, because it's something like God, so, and it's not the father anymore. And I was, but in the content, I mean, with all the James Dean, like in East of Eden and Rebel Without a Cause, in both movies, James Dean has to negotiate something with the father figure, and that was really interesting for me in the fire scene with the other side, with the Jim Morrison character, Big Jim, and there's a shift of generation. So he asks, addresses something like he addresses his father, but it would be the next generation. So there are always links back to the original movies, and sometimes in framing, sometimes in content, sometimes in little icons. But I wouldn't really. I'm more interested in this new combination or new recontextualization.
Well, is it like, you know, it's one way to look at it and say like, oh, I'm reenacting something happened in the movie, but in a way you're taking what would normally just be seen as a reenactment, but you're also trying to make it like an enactment,
yes,
so to speak.
It's a whole complete new thing at the end. Yeah, yeah, that is really important, and that even at the point when it would come to a copyright question, or I think like from at least from the German side of the law, because it is something completely new. It's a new artwork at the end, and I would be more on the safe side. I don't know how it is in here, but I have to say I never had a problem with.
I mean, I don't, you know, people always ask in the audiences here when there's any sort of appropriated footage, like copyright concerns. I guess it's just been beaten into people about being fearful of the law.
Strange, yeah. Usually it's the second question when I have a Q&A. So. I just wanted to avoid that.
But fair use law is different in Germany. Huh? Well, but fair use law is different.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see yourself in any kind of comedic tradition? I mean, what comedy media
I have to one thing is like a little secret. When I was a teenager, at that time I started with Super 8 film. I had a film projector in my children's room. I was maybe 13, 14. And it was a lot of money to buy the whole Great Dictator of Charlie Chaplin as a Super 8 film print. It was at that time, for me, it was 700 Deutschmarks, which is, I mean, like, you would compare it today like $700, but, and there was nothing like that available. So that was the only film I had, and everyone who visited me had to watch it. So I always had this like little cinema, and then I think I watched the Great Dictator like 500 times. And it never ever, like for many years, decades, I never thought about that, and I just recently, like 2 years ago or something, while I was like moving boxes, and then suddenly found this old Super 8 films, and I had a short film before The Great Dictator, and that was the Jungle Book, short version of 12 minutes. So that is maybe a combination. No, no, I think I was quite impressed, and even when you look at it, like first of all, there is a doppelganger in this film, and there's a lot about language. And at that time, I got a very, very bad print because it was out of sync. But I didn't, I didn't care. But so because I didn't want to bring it back, it took me so long. I had to wait 2 months to get this print. And then I got it, and then I think there was one reel, because it came in 7 reels. So the whole thing to have the whole. And the last reel or so, the second last one was out of sync, but 1 second or something, you know. And that was another, maybe this experience of separating image and language. So I think that has had an influence in me, but of course any other. I think comedy in a way, more the tragic parts of comedy, because sometimes that's life. I mean, the most horrible things can be also seen sometimes very, very funny or